Hey YouTubers. So, I noticed that a lot of people are busy and they don't really want to put a whole lot of money and time into a costume, so they just want to wear whatever clothes they have, usually all black, and then just do up their face and put like a crown or a cape or something on with some form of face paint. Well, I have just the thing. So, for this, I'm only going to use two products. These are from like the dollar store. I think they were literally $1 each. And black and white are the fundamentals for every Halloween costume. So today, I'm going to do something similar. That's simply just gonna, you can cover the mouth, which is probably going to be more popular with the guys, but it depends on what you're doing. And I want to show you how you could take basically a black tank top, black pants, and start with a clean face, clean skin, everything, and you can build a pretty good skeleton or strange creature look with just two colors, and I'm going to show you how. So what you want to do is do what I did and take a pair of scissors and open up your paint containers, and be sure that before you do that, or hell, before you buy it, you understand what it is you bought, because this is literally clown style grease paint, as they call it. It is not the sort of thing, if you were really exhausted at the end of the night and you decided to sleep on the half of your face that might not have anything on it because you did a sugar skull or something like that. No. You will wake up with horrible irritation and whatnot, because this is only meant to be on your skin for about an evening, like 4 to 6, maybe 8 hours tops. This is not something that you're meant to wear for 12, 16, 24 hours. This is not that kind of deal. If you really are going to push it and you're doing some stuff, doing that, I would suggest doing the same thing that I'm about to do with something like Sephora eyeshadows, and doing the full 9 yards of like chapstick and Vaseline and all kinds of craziness that goes on the eyes and all that. This is literally meant for, I'm invited to a Halloween party, I don't have a costume, but I do have a monochromatic outfit of some sort. Oh, okay, great. Back to the video. So, what I do have equipment-wise, I have a fluffy blush style brush. I have a foundation brush. I'm going to use the foundation brush for the preliminary application, and then for blending points I'm going to blend it out, down and out wherever it need be. And I kind of fudged a little bit, because if you really want this to be just perfect, I suggest getting black eyeliner and white eyeliner, because then you could like make a dotted line a lot easier and then go across. But that's just if you're OCD like me. It's optional. This should be done if you have a steady hand. If you can paint your toes without doing it 3 different times like I do, then I'm sure you're fine. So, get this party started. So what I'm gonna do, okay, I'm pulling up my reference photo right now, is I'm going to make a simple skeleton appearance here on the mouth, and this is all it requires you to have is some clean exfoliated lips. If your lips are dry, this will highlight it. You do not want this, okay? And all I recommend is a hand mirror of some sort, okay? And so, because I'm going to map this a little bit, as well as also this helps for finer details, you could do the black grease with like an eyeliner brush, or if you're really wanting to get dirty and gross because you're a dude or something, then you can go full Khal Drogo or something with that. Or you can just put on with your pinky and do it like that. But I liked it to be, neat, so I'm going to put the initial teeth marks in, right? Alright, so now that I have this part sort of mapped out a little bit, there are harsh lines for now because they have not been blended yet. So, once you have your initial lines where you basically want your little like teeth to go, do that. Fish face a little bit, so that way you can see where the line in your face is that you would want a contour to be. So for me, you are essentially going to follow your own jaw because you're making a skeleton. Now, because I'm filling these in with white, it's imperative that I map out where I don't want white to be. Now, because I want this to be like a big Halloween creepy smile, I'm overdrawing my lips. If you wanted to be really meticulous, you could do this to be very like symmetrical, but because the idea is that it's creepy and kind of looking, then it's not really important. So you want to try and make sure that you have it as far over as you want it, because it's very difficult to go back once you've passed this point. So for me, I'm using how far out from the line that my eye line is. And I'm going to adjust the surrounding contour accordingly, because as much as we'd like to think so, our faces aren't as symmetrical as we think. Okay, and so now you have your initial shape, if you will. And so I'm going to take the white pencil, and now I'm going to start doing the filling in process for the teeth, because once I get the grease paint on there, it'll be a lot brighter, a lot nicer, but you're sort of pre-drawing, if you will. Okay, and so it's more important that the lips get the liner than the skin, because the lips are where a lot of friction is. And so this is really great if you have really large lips, whether you are male or female, because then the bigger your lips are, and when you're overdrawing them, the bigger the effect is. Okay? And so I'm going to take my application brush here. I'm going to start doing the white, because what's important is that you get as much white done as you can before you switch to using the black, because then you have to clean the brush if you want to go back into the white. Okay, so here we go. So apparently this stuff is so thick it's actually hard to get on with the brush. So I'm just going to finger paint this. Since it's a small area, I'm hoping that my small hands will be beneficial at the moment. Okay, and so we have the initial space here. And it looks very weird. It's supposed to. I'm hoping that my fingers here are warming it up so I can access this easier. If you're only doing this for photos, this might be even better because lighting does wonders. This is the best lighting I can do right now for this, but with photo editing and whatnot, all you need to really do, if you were doing this for photo, is get the lines right and get the colors as bright as you can. Because you could always make them darker later. Okay, and so what you might do is, one, keep a tissue nearby, especially if you're concerned that you might be applying this with your hands. And just to do a variation, because I don't want to copy directly from the photo I'm using, we're gonna taper this a bit. Each end. So that way it just kind of looks a little bit more Cheshire Cat. Okay. Okay, so now this is warm enough to be picked up by the brush. I don't need to use my hands anymore. Okay, so it's very thick. It goes on almost like a paste. This is a lot thicker than it looks on camera for some reason. This is like Elmer's glue white. And it's hardly a skeleton if you haven't contoured your nose, so I'll get to that. Okay, and so now you want to take this opportunity to go over any area that you think you missed. Okay, and so now I'm going to come back and sort of redo some lines here. An eyeliner is nice to use because it's meant to go on over like thick gooey stuff like gel liner and shadow. Now how big or small you make the teeth is up to you. I like a nice little variation. Okay. And so here we have the initial point. I'm going to mark where exactly on my nose I want it to be. You don't want to fill in your whole nose because that usually looks very odd. So what I do is I try and find the bulb and then determine where exactly the narrowest point on the bridge is. And exclude your nostrils. This will give the illusion that your face is much more narrow than it is. For the sake of a skeleton, that's a good thing. And so you mark that. Now, here I can use my hand across the black because I'm not tainting a brush, but I really don't want to stare at my nose like that for a while. So I'm gonna build my nose. This white is more than enough bright to show up on dark skin. I know that's a concern for a lot of gals, especially if you wanted to do something that's not even a skeleton, like a Amazon warrior type situation. It's very dramatic to have white, like dots and all that. Okay, and so I'm going to blend that out a little bit because I don't like the harsh line. You just want to build up a lot of product because blending, you take a little bit off your face. That's part of what you're doing. So I'm going to intentionally build this up on the nose. And be constantly looking at my symmetry. So, get something like this here. And I'm just gonna go in and out like that. And this is just to keep the texture where I want it. Okay? And the lines are still harsh, but they're a little bit better. So, now that we have that, we can take a look at our contours, where they're supposed to be. Let's deal with those. These two pieces are also really great if you're doing like Black Veil Brides army stuff. Super great for that. I did something like that for First Friday, and I'm happy to do another video for that because I liked the way it turned out. So now, this is where it gets a little difficult to tell how much you have on the brush. I know some people say less is more, but not with this type of product. Okay. A wiser woman would be doing this with a friend who can either do it for her or tell her if she's gonna mess up her white teeth. This actually applies shadow quite interestingly. It's weird, even though it's the same product in different colors, I think the black applies better. And I've seen this look done without coloring in the teeth, so if you wanted to do that too, hey, more power to you. Okay. So now, because you're trying to look sullen, you want to pull it down. Okay, and I decided I wanted it a little bit higher because I like the idea of the teeth being surrounded. But I'm going to do a sharp cut. See? And so this is, I don't know, I'd say this is kind of intermediate because if you can't do like shapes, I don't advise this. Which, unless you have some sort of serious nerve damage, you can probably handle shapes. And so you want to try and make this somewhat even. Okay. Now, I would wear a wig with this. I would not leave the house with my hair like this. I would certainly wig it up a little bit because I like the way it looks done up more. I would probably do a big black raccoon smoky eye. But, like I said, if you're a dude, you probably don't care either way. So now, using the new shape I've made, I'm filling in any mistake marks I made during the drafting, because you don't want that seen. And so I went at this shape because I'm following my lips really. And so going from my lip to the apple of my cheeks. Now I have a sort of heart shape face, and so it's very difficult for me to look scary, because I don't really have scary features. It's very hard to fear an anime Bratz doll. But I'm sure this would look really great if you have a very square jawline. Many women have square jaws. More power to you, ladies. This would probably be fun to do on somebody with a square jaw. And so, still following the rest of the shape that I've made. Okay. Alright, and so now we're starting to get a little bit creepy looking, which is good, which means we're almost done. So, I'm trying to think here. What I prefer is I like to go with the straight line. Think about where your throat is. You could do your throat. I'm thinking about it right now. And I'm looking at the shapes I want to highlight. So, like, your sort of breathing pipes here. Okay, if you tighten your neck muscles, you can see them. Makes a V. This is a nice place to highlight. Or you could only focus on the esophagus, which is right here. Or you could do both if you're feeling really artsy. But I'm going to focus on the sternum, and then I'm going to do the neck if I decide to do so. But because this stuff goes quite a long ways, I've barely scratched the top of it doing what I've done so far on both colors, but this is going to be probably using more black than white. So, because my black one is going dull in terms of the pencil, I'm just going to have to freehand this. And so, using your own the lady parts as a line, you can build outwards. And so, I like the skeletons without the sternum mark, so I'm just going to shadow it. Because this is really big, I'm probably just gonna go with the finger mark. Plus, scary isn't always pretty. Sometimes it is. Okay. And so we have our basic shape here. I'll build that darker as I need to, but I think I'm gonna go with the two lines up here because they're easy to find if you position your head just so. I'm trying to get in my light here. Okay. And so this is just gonna extend the look a little bit. And so I'm going directly on top of that line, making it a little bit broader because of where I want it to meet. I'm trying to get it to meet right about here under the ear. I want this to be big, thick, and dark. This doesn't even necessarily have to be for Halloween. I'm a little bit avant-garde myself, even though it's because I'm such a homebody. I almost never leave the house, and if I'm not leaving the house, I'm not dressing up. But the minute someone's like, oh, hey, we're gonna go check the mail, I don't care. I'm checking the mail. Rawr. Status. Okay. And so, at the moment, it kind of looks like a weird necklace. And so for this to work to fill even an area that doesn't look that big, I'm going to do 2 fingers here because I'm trying to speed this up. Okay. Actually, the fingers thing is probably going to work out well. So, now I have my 3 fingers into the paint. Yet 3 evenly coated fingers. Spreading out the fingers like a little claw. I'm going to go out. And doing this over and over again will create the line that I wanted. I'm bringing them close together at the armpit. Okay. It's just a nice accent, okay? And especially if you're wearing a strapless top like I am right now, this will be nice, but otherwise, if you're wearing a tank top, then this can get under the sleeves a little bit. Okay. Now, again, not a big deal if it's not perfectly symmetrical. I don't think anyone's going to be like, I don't like your freaking costume because it's not perfect. If they are, screw them. Okay? Now, what does this have to do with skeleton? It doesn't. This is more of a extension of what you've already put on your face. Okay, now you can leave it like this, or, let me see here. Alright, so I'm not really too terribly concerned about it being symmetrical, but at the same time, I think I'm going to make this bottom line thicker to try and not make it as prominent that it's asymmetrical. It's very difficult to do right here because I'm a very top-heavy person, but this is gonna look different on different people. Okay. And it looks kind of interesting if you're moving a lot. But yeah. Let me see here. Maybe if I just add like an additional line. I can hear illegal street racing happening outside my home. That's not cool. I'll have to call that in a minute. Okay. Now, to me that looks more symmetrical, but I'm just adding an additional line in here just so there's a little bit more design happening because it looks a little simple on one side. Okay, and so now you have a nice little weird spidery something happening. And looking at the nose here a little bit. Alright, so this is where you make a decision. You can leave it, and I left room for a mask because I have masks that would be very fitting for this. I'm going to go with the red one that's kind of drippy because it would be an accent. So I will come back to you when I'm done with that.